There are moments in life when everything stops, and in that silence, you discover that reality is not what you thought it was. During my years of research, I have come to understand that consciousness is not a product of the brain, but something much vaster, more interconnected than I ever imagined. And the most extraordinary thing is that you can access that expanded dimension in just 5 minutes a day. My name is Jacobo Grinberg, and for decades I have dedicated my life to exploring the mysteries of the human mind. I have worked with Mazatec shamans. I have studied altered states of consciousness, and I have developed what I called the syntergic theory, a way of understanding how consciousness interacts with the very structure of space-time. What I am going to share with you today is not just theory, it is experiential practice. It is the result of thousands of hours of research and direct experience. Let me tell you something that forever changed my understanding of reality. I was in the Sierra Mazateca, working with Pachita, an extraordinary healer. During a ceremony, I observed something that challenged all my previous scientific knowledge. I saw how she, in an expanded state of consciousness, could perceive information that did not come through the ordinary senses. It was not magic, it was not superstition. It was the manifestation of a latent ability in all of us, the ability to tune into what I call the neural field, that invisible network of information that connects all consciousness. At that moment, I understood that each of us has the capacity to expand our perception beyond the apparent limits of the individual mind. And the most beautiful thing about all this is that you don't need years of training. You don't need to become a mystic or withdraw from the world. You only need 5 minutes of conscious practice daily to begin to reprogram your perception of reality. Neuroplasticity, that wonderful ability of the brain to reorganize itself and create new connections, is not just a survival mechanism. It is a doorway to the conscious transformation of our experience. Every time we direct our attention intentionally, we are literally sculpting new neural patterns, creating new possibilities of perception and understanding. Imagine for a moment that your mind is like an ocean. Most people live only on the surface, where the waves of everyday thought keep them in constant agitation. But there is an immense depth beneath that surface. Calm waters where wisdom resides in silence, waiting to be discovered. Those 5 minutes a day are like a conscious dive into those depths. The technique I am going to teach you is based on the fundamental principles of the syntergic theory. According to this theory, consciousness is not located inside your skull, but is a field that extends and interacts with other fields of consciousness. Your brain is like an antenna that can tune into different frequencies of this universal field. And with the right practice, you can learn to tune into more subtle, higher frequencies. I would like you to subscribe to this channel. If this content resonates with you, and please comment what country you are watching from, and give it a like so that more people can benefit from this ancestral wisdom that modern science is beginning to validate. The first step of this practice is what I call the awakening of attention. During the first 2 minutes, you will sit in silence with your eyes closed and simply observe your breath, but not in the mechanical way we usually breathe. You are going to breathe as if each inhalation were an opportunity to receive information from the cosmos, and each exhalation an opportunity to release limiting patterns of thought. As you breathe consciously, allow your attention to expand. Do not concentrate intensely on one point, but let your consciousness become like the open sky, capable of containing all experiences without clinging to any. This is not a concentration technique in the traditional sense. It is a technique of conscious expansion. During my research with experienced meditators, I discovered something fascinating. Their brain waves showed unique patterns, especially the theta frequencies, which are associated with states of deep creativity and access to non-ordinary information. But the most interesting thing was that these patterns did not appear only during meditation, but began to manifest in their daily lives as if they had reconfigured their nervous system to access expanded states of consciousness naturally. In the third minute of your practice, you are going to introduce what I call the essential question. Without expectations, without forcing any answer, you are simply going to internally formulate a question about some aspect of your life that needs clarity. It can be about an important decision, about a relationship, about your purpose, about anything that genuinely troubles or interests you. But you formulate the question, and then you let it go, like someone who drops a stone in a deep lake and patiently waits for the ripples to expand. This is not a problem-solving technique in the logical sense. It is an invitation for your intuitive wisdom, that vaster intelligence that resides in the deep levels of your being, to emerge and offer you perspectives that your analytical mind alone could not reach. I have seen people have deep insights, receive creative solutions, and even experience what we could call direct knowledge through this practice. I remember a student who practiced this technique for 3 weeks. At first, she felt frustrated because she didn't see anything spectacular. But gradually, she began to notice subtle changes in her daily life. Her relationships improved because she developed a natural ability to perceive the emotions of others with greater clarity and compassion. Her work became more fluid because she began to trust her intuition to make decisions. They were not dramatic changes, but they were profound and lasting transformations. In the 4th and 5th minutes, you are going to practice what I call synergic integration. You are going to mentally visualize how the information or energy you have received during these minutes integrates into all the cells of your body, is incorporated into your nervous system, becomes part of your new perceptual configuration, right? Imagine that every cell of your being is reorganizing to sustain this new frequency of consciousness. The synergic theory suggests that when 2 or more brains synchronize, they can create what I call a synergic brain, a collective intelligence that transcends individual capabilities. Similarly, when you consciously synchronize different aspects of your own being during these 5 minutes, you create an internal coherence that enhances all your capabilities. This practice is not just a relaxation or personal well-being technique, although it certainly produces those benefits. It is a way of consciously participating in what I consider the evolution of human consciousness. Every time a person expands their perception, they contribute to the collective field of consciousness of humanity. Your personal growth is not a selfish act. It is a service to the evolution of our species. During my years of research, I have come to the conviction that we are at a crucial moment in human history. Materialistic science has given us incredible tools to understand and manipulate the physical world, but it has left us disconnected from the more subtle dimensions of existence. Spiritual traditions have preserved the wisdom about these deeper levels, but often in forms that seem incompatible with modern scientific thought. The synthesis that I propose through the synergic theory is not a weak compromise between science and spirituality, but a more complete understanding that honors both the precision of the scientific method and the depth of direct experience. Your practice of 5 minutes a day is a way of living this synthesis, of becoming a researcher of your own consciousness. I have observed that people who maintain this practice consistently develop what I call perceptual flexibility. They do not get stuck in a single way of seeing reality, but can move fluidly between different levels of perception as the situation requires. They can be completely practical and efficient when necessary, and completely open to the mysterious when it is appropriate. This flexibility is not confusion or relativism. It is a mature ability to recognize that reality has multiple dimensions, and that our survival and flourishing as a species depend on our ability to consciously navigate between these dimensions. A scientist who is also a mystic, a practical person who is also a visionary, a centered individual who is also deeply connected with the whole. Neuroplasticity teaches us that the brain you have today is not the brain you had a year ago, and it is not the brain you will have next year. Every experience leaves a mark. Every repeated thought strengthens certain neural circuits. Most people allow these changes to occur unconsciously, reactively, determined by external circumstances. But you can choose to consciously participate in the sculpting of your own brain. These 5 minutes a day are like gym sessions for your consciousness, moments dedicated specifically to strengthening your capacity for expanded perception, clear intuition, and integrated wisdom. It is not self-deception or wishful thinking. It is neuroplasticity consciously directed towards the expansion of your perceptual capacities. One of the most beautiful aspects of this practice is its simplicity. You don't need special equipment. You don't need a perfect place. You don't need ideal conditions. You just need 5 minutes of your day and the sincere intention to explore deeper dimensions of your own consciousness. I have seen people practice this on the subway, in the office, during a break, in their bed, before sleeping. The location is less important than the quality of the attention you bring. What is crucial is consistency. The brain learns through repetition. Every day you practice, you are reinforcing new neural patterns. You are teaching your nervous system to access these expanded states of consciousness with greater ease. It is like learning to play a musical instrument. At first, it requires conscious effort, but gradually it becomes natural, spontaneous. During my research with traditional healers, I observed that many of them had developed the ability to enter altered states of consciousness almost instantly, not because they had any special gift from birth, but because they had trained their nervous system for years to access these frequencies of consciousness. What I am sharing with you is a distilled and scientifically informed version of these ancestral practices. The synergic theory postulates that information is not only transmitted through the known senses, but also through subtle energy fields that connect all forms of consciousness. During your 5-minute practice, you are learning to tune into these fields. You are expanding your capacity to receive non-ordinary information. This does not mean that you are going to become a psychic, or that you are going to have spectacular, supernatural experiences, although some people do report extraordinary experiences. What is more likely is that you will develop a clearer intuition, an improved ability to read situations and people, and increased sensitivity to the underlying patterns in your life and in your environment. I remember a personal experience that perfectly illustrates this point. I was working on a particularly complex research problem, something that I had been studying for months without finding a satisfactory solution. One morning, during my 5-minute practice, a mental image spontaneously arose, a visual metaphor that contained the key to solving the problem. It did not come as a logical thought, but as a direct, instantaneous understanding. That experience taught me that human intelligence has capabilities that go far beyond what conventional psychology recognizes. We have access to forms of knowledge that do not go through the usual analytical processes, forms of wisdom that emerge when we create the appropriate inner space for it to manifest. Your 5-minute practice is a way of creating that inner space on a regular and systematic basis. It is a daily invitation to your deeper wisdom to become present in your conscious life. It is not a technique of escaping from reality, but a technique of deeper penetration into reality, a way of accessing dimensions of experience that normally remain hidden behind the noise of everyday life. The beauty of this approach is that it integrates perfectly with an active modern life. It does not ask you to abandon your responsibilities or to radically change your lifestyle. It only asks you to dedicate 5 minutes a day to consciously exploring your higher perceptual potential. And the benefits of this exploration naturally filter into all aspects of your existence. I have observed that people who maintain this practice develop a quality that I call expanded presence. They are not only more present in the current moment, but their presence has a broader, more inclusive quality. They can simultaneously hold attention to the practical details of life and the awareness of vaster dimensions of experience. This expanded presence translates into greater effectiveness at work, more authentic and satisfying relationships, more fluid creativity, and a general sense of being aligned with something larger than immediate personal goals. It's not that your personal goals lose importance, but that they become integrated within a broader context of purpose and meaning. Research on meditation and altered states of consciousness has consistently shown that these practices not only produce subjective well-being, but also have measurable effects on the brain and body. Stress reduction, improvement of the immune system, increased coherence of brain waves, greater integration between the cerebral hemispheres. These are scientifically documented benefits. But beyond the measurable benefits, what really matters is the qualitative transformation of your experience of being alive. When you expand your perception, when you access deeper levels of your own consciousness, your relationship with life itself changes. The small worries do not disappear, but they are put into perspective. The challenges do not evaporate, but you develop richer internal resources to navigate them. It is important to understand that this practice is not a form of spiritual escapism. It is not a way to avoid the responsibilities of material life or to deny the difficult aspects of the human experience. On the contrary, it is a way to participate more fully, more consciously, more wisely in the totality of what it means to be human in this particular historical moment. Expanded consciousness does not separate you from the world. It connects you more deeply with it. When you recognize that your individual consciousness is part of a vaster consciousness, when you directly experience your interconnection with all of life, you naturally develop more compassion, more responsibility, more wisdom in your actions and decisions. During these years of research, I have come to an understanding that I want to share with you with all possible humility. I am not someone who has reached some final spiritual destination. I am a researcher, an explorer of the mysteries of consciousness, someone who has dedicated his life to making maps of territories that are inherently mysterious and always changing. What I offer you are not definitive answers, but tools for exploration, methods for you to investigate these dimensions of experience yourself. The 5-minute practice that I have shared with you is one of these tools, tested both in neuroscience laboratories and in the direct experience of hundreds of practitioners. Your experience will be unique. The insights you receive, the transformations you experience, will be specific to your particular configuration of consciousness, to your life circumstances, to your deepest questions. Do not expect your experience to be identical to that of another. Trust your own process of discovery. At the same time, maintain a scientific attitude toward your practice. Observe the effects with the same objective curiosity with which a scientist observes the results of an experiment. Notice the subtle changes in your perception, in your emotional reactions, in your ability to make decisions, in the quality of your relationships. These changes are valuable data that will help you refine and deepen your practice. The synergic theory suggests that we are on the threshold of an evolutionary leap in human consciousness. Not a leap that will happen automatically or that will be imposed from the outside, but a leap that will emerge through the conscious participation of individuals like you, people who are willing to explore their own higher perceptual capacities and to integrate those capacities into their daily lives. Each person who consciously expands their perception contributes to a more evolved collective field of consciousness. Your personal practice is not just for your individual benefit. It is part of a broader process of our species' evolution toward wiser, more compassionate, more integrated ways of being and living. Imagine a world where important decisions are made from expanded states of consciousness, where leaders have regular access to their deepest wisdom, where conflicts are resolved from the recognition of our fundamental interconnection. This is not an unattainable utopian dream. It is a real possibility that begins with individuals like you committing to your own conscious growth. The 5 minutes a day that I propose are a contribution to this broader vision. They are a practical, accessible, scientifically based way to participate in what could be the most important adventure of our time, the conscious exploration and deliberate expansion of the capacities of human consciousness. You do not need to believe in anything in particular to benefit from this practice. You only need enough curiosity to experiment for a few weeks and observe what happens. Your own experience will be your best guide and your best validation. If it works for you, if it produces positive and lasting effects in your life, then you will know that you have found something valuable. And if you decide to continue with this exploration, remember that you are participating in a very ancient tradition of consciousness researchers, people who throughout history have dedicated their lives to understanding the mysteries of the mind and experience. At the same time, you are participating in something completely contemporary, a new synthesis between ancestral wisdom and modern scientific knowledge. This is the gift I offer you. 5 minutes a day that can open doors in your perception that you didn't even know existed. 5 minutes that can connect you with dimensions of your own being that have been patiently waiting for your attention. 5 minutes that can be the beginning of the most fascinating adventure of your life. The conscious discovery of who you really are and what is really possible for you. The practice is simple, but its implications are profound. Start tomorrow. Start today, if possible. Find your 5 sacred minutes, that daily space dedicated exclusively to the exploration of your consciousness, and allow those 5 minutes to gradually, organically, naturally transform the total quality of your experience of being alive. The mystery of consciousness remains mysterious, and that is its beauty. But we can explore that mystery. We can consciously participate in it. We can allow it to transform us as we investigate it. That is the invitation I make to you. The invitation to become a researcher of your own consciousness, an explorer of your own higher perceptual capacities. Your consciousness is vaster than you imagine. Your perceptual potential is richer than you suspect. 5 minutes a day can be the beginning of a completely new relationship with yourself and with reality. A relationship based not on concepts or beliefs, but on direct experience, on conscious exploration, on the personal discovery of what it really means to be conscious in this extraordinary universe.